"Molly!" shouted a voice from the tavern. "Are you done yet? There are plenty more out there need seeing to." The penny whore in the back room sighed and leaned back against the wall at the end of the timber bed. It had been a long day, and if she hadn't been on her feet serving jacks of frothing ale to drunken revellers in the tavern, she had been on her back seeing to their other needs. Neither occupation was a problem in itself, for she was well aware of her station in life. It was just that sometimes, just sometimes, she would have liked a few moments to herself, instead of constantly having to avoid the grasping paws of drunk men seeking sexual relief for a measly penny. She looked down at the sleeping man next to her on the bed. He was dirty and stank of ale. Most of her customers did, but this one was different. He was a regular, and one of the few who at least treated her with a semblance of respect. There was always some talk first, an unusual but welcome trait rarely requested by her other customers. And he was always gentle, another quality rare amongst the taverns of the poor. Not tonight, though. Tonight he had been angry, not at her, but with life in general. He had obviously drunk far too much, and though he had tried to undertake the act his penny had bought, he had failed miserably and had collapsed into a drunken sleep at her side. Presented with a rare opportunity, Molly had let him lie and helped herself to some of the ale he had brought through from the tavern. For what seemed like an age, she just lay there, listening to the noise as the market traders squandered their hard-earned coins in games of chance and drank leather jacks of bitter ale. Finally, she picked up the remaining chunk of bread the man had brought in with him and dipped it into the tankard before finishing his ale in 3 swallows. "Maxen," she said quietly, shaking him by the shoulders. "Wake up! It's time to leave." When she had no reaction, she shook him harder, this time receiving a drunken grunt of acknowledgement. "Maxen," she said again, "come on, or you'll raise the ire of the landlord, and I can't afford to lose this job." Slowly the man came to his senses, and finally sat up on the side of the bed. His head hung down, and his tangled, filthy hair reached way down past his face. Molly crawled over the sheepskin cover and placed her hands on his shoulders, rubbing them gently. "Do you feel better?" she asked quietly. "What do you mean?" he grunted, without moving his position. "You were very angry," she said, resting her head on his shoulder, "and I've never seen you like that before. I thought you were going to beat me." The man looked up over his shoulder, and the whore tilted her head to meet his gaze. "I would never do that, Molly," he said. "You alone are the only friend I have around here. And besides, there are many others who I would lay my wrath upon should they ever cross my path."
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.